Hello everyone and welcome to another custom figure showcase, and a little bit of an out of order custom figure showcase because I actually wasn't expecting this kit to arrive as quickly as it did, which is fantastic, but also wasn't expecting to get it finished as quickly as I did. But once I got it finished last night, and I thought, oh, it's Halloween today, I might do a special Halloween custom figure showcase because this is an absolutely amazing sort of horror themed kit. Now this is a concept Cyberman designed by Doctor Who UK, or I should say it is designed by, and I apologise if I'm pronouncing this name wrong, Heleno Souza, and printed and released by Doctor Who UK, who is on Instagram and also Shopify and Etsy. And they have made these kits, and essentially it's a original concept of a sort of what if World War I Cyberman, and they've actually even written a lovely little bit of background info which I'm going to read out now. In 1914, the Iron Youth of Germany marched to war. After 3 long years of total war, Germany is facing the brutal truth: they may be defeated. Men and material are running dangerously low. The horrifically injured, burnt and shell-shocked Iron Youth are the last hope for victory, being held together by German ingenuity and genius-scavenged cyber technology. The once powerful Iron Youth will rise again. The Iron Youth will march across no man's land and destroy Paris, then London. It'll all be over by Christmas. Now, I absolutely love that idea, and I love the concept of it, and it is one of those things that I like, especially around this time of year, obviously being, you know, the time of year it is. I do like a good sort of war, like a war film or a war series, just to sort of, it really reminds you of things like that, which is always important. But I really love this concept and the idea of, you know, an army sort of, you know, using cyber technology, especially when you consider things like the alleged occultism and things like that, which I've you know, podcasts and things like that always interest me, even if it's not necessarily true. But I love a good myth and a good legend, and sort of, you know, science, interesting sort of pseudoscience and things like that, and that sort of really fits into this category. But it's an absolutely wonderful kit. You know, it comes together really well. So kit-wise, it comes the lower legs and shoes are all one piece. The sort of waist, thighs are another bit. The torso is split into 2 halves. The arms are each a piece. The arms do move, and then obviously there's the head as well, is a separate piece. But just the design, I think, is absolutely wonderful. I love how I love the minimalist design of the basic sort of, you know, German uniform of the time, combined with the sort of elements of the you know, the Cyberman. And I actually did a little bit of research to sort of try and get the costume design sort of as close as I could to what history sort of had. And what I didn't realise until I'd actually looked it up is the actual sort of armour piecing. Forget the you know, the control box. The actual armour itself is actually historically accurate. I didn't know they had that sort of body armour, so it's certainly interesting to see again the little details like that. But I've tried to add in sort of my own sort of elements to it as well in the design, because again it's something which was never going to be wholly accurate, so I allowed myself a little bit of artistic license. So for example, on the helmet, the actual dome, like the actual light head piece, whatever you want to call it, I've sort of done in the colours of it matches the tunic, but it's done in a sort of like a trench light kind of thing that was done in a sort of military green, and just sort of keep it as similar as I could to make it look like it had been adapted, as it were. And the same sort of thing on the handles, I don't know what you call them, but the middle bits on the rods and things like that, where I've sort of got them covered in a camo green. Again, the idea that you know, that maybe they were sort of shielded, sort of blackouted, you know, with a bit of sort of camo things, rather like the Ironside Dalek dome lights and things like that. On the front, on the control box, I've kept it very simple with the sort of red and white colours. Because I think along with the gunmetal grey, again, it sort of gives I'm trying to put this very carefully, because obviously there are, of course, symbolism on this that I did not wish to include for obvious reasons. But the sort of colour scheme, again, I tried to sort of emulate what the colour scheme was, particularly of the flag of the German Empire during that time, which obviously isn't the more well-known symbol one. This is the First World War, not the Second World War. But again, the colour scheme was sort of very much the same. And then the only other thing I've done, which is, it's not the easiest thing to capture as it turns around, but on the hands, they've actually got sort of cables going into sort of each knuckle. So I painted those the silver, but then I've also added a little bit of sort of blood around the areas where they go in to, again, make it look a bit sort of, you know, like adapted human very sort of thing. I love the human hands as well, but then I also sort of painted the fingers, on the end of the fingers, sort of darker, not quite black but brown, which my intention for doing that was to give it almost a sort of like necrotic flesh sort of look, which I think it does work, but at the same time as well, it does look like it's just dirt, and obviously this is being potentially trench warfare, would have been very much the kind of sort of thing that you would have had people with dirty hands. But I think I like the look that it's sort of come, that it looks like the sort of flesh is sort of partially already dead. And then obviously as well, I've given it an overall just sort of I've given these shoes and the bandages on the legs and around the back of the head, which you can't quite see, but the back of the head is all bandaged up as well. I've given that a bit of a black wash just to make the details on it stand out a bit more. But then I've also gone over the tunic and the armour and the helmet just with very, very, very light brushes of silver, just to sort of almost give like a scuffed, like slight sort of as if something's ricocheted off it, or that it's, you know, just gotten scuffed in general. And then I've gone over the tunic and again parts of the torso with just a sort of various hints of lighter shades of brown. Again, really, really light brushes to give it a sort of worn and dirty look, as in, again, trench warfare. And especially again around the bottom of the tunic, I've literally just brushed up the tunic very, very lightly and quickly, and on the sleeves as well, to just sort of make it look as in, like, you know, the bottom of the tunic's got dirty from sitting in the mud or something like that. Yeah, I don't really have a huge amount more to say about this custom, but at the same time, it's an absolutely fantastic, wonderful concept. I really, really hope that, you know, Big Finish picked up an idea like this, because we had the Unbound Doctor do a sort of series with the Cybermen in Germany during the Second World War, but the idea of this as trench warfare in the First World War, I just think it would make a fantastic audio. I honestly think it would make an even more fantastic TV episode, because just the idea of, again, the TARDIS landing in a trench, and it's sort of dusk, and it's you know, night time and things like that. If anybody's ever seen the film Death Watch, you'll get the sort of atmosphere that I'm thinking of. But you just sort of, again, is low light, it's muddy, it's dirty, it's dark, and it's very quiet, which you wouldn't expect in a trench during the First World War. And then you just see one of these lumbering out of the darkness, you know. I think it would be an absolutely brilliant episode, and I really hope this gets, you know, if Big Finish or the BBC are watching, please somebody, you know, get the rights to use this figure as a character in a, you know, in an audio or a actual TV episode, because I think it would be absolutely wonderful. But again, I have to give absolute full props to Doctor Who UK and Hideno Souza for working on this absolutely fantastic kit. You can still get them, or at least at the time of recording they are still available on Doctor Who UK's Shopify, which I will be putting a link to in the description and the pinned comment, so please go and check that out. It is absolutely wonderful kit, fantastic to put together. I've bought quite a few sort of kits from them over the years, and sort of other pieces like that, and they've done some absolutely wonderful pieces. But this one just really, I mean, I don't know what it is about this concept. It's such a simple concept, but it's such a brilliant one that I can't wait to see if they do sort of more Halloween themed stuff like this in future. I think they've done a couple before, but I'm certainly going to be sort of looking out for stuff like this again in future. I sort of, partly I'm tempted to pick up another one of these to do a sort of cyber leader, but at the same time, this is one of those kits that's just so wonderful that I kind of don't. I want to leave enough for everyone else, because again, I cannot express how wonderful this kit is, and it's a wonderful thing to put together, and it's a wonderful thing to make a custom of, and again, wonderful original concept design. But that brings to a close another custom figure showcase. As always, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, share, it really helps me out a lot, and be sure to check out the description below for a link to my Patreon. I've had a bit of a reshuffle, so there is only the one tier on there at the moment, but for the smallest donation you get your name at the end of my videos, and all of your donations are greatly received. It really helps with the running of the channel. I salute you all, and I will see you with another video very soon.